All right, I think we are live. Let me just make sure here, and then outlines. Then we'll go from there. I want to talk to you guys about a couple different things, but let me just make sure that we are live. Anyone's out there? Yeah, I do see a couple people out there now. So that is good. We're live on at least one platform. If you can let me know what platform we are live on, I would appreciate it. And then we can go ahead and talk. Okay, we're live on Facebook Saturday morning. Yes, John, it is not usually a good thing if I'm making a video on Saturday morning, especially when I had some late nights and we're live on Facebook and everywhere. All right, so it's getting real with the Polymer 80. But before we get into that, if you like what I do, please like, comment, and subscribe and share the video. Support me on Patreon, patreon.com/John Crump. It helps me do my investigative journalism, and it helps other people go ahead and visit ammoland.com. And remember, our sponsor of the day is Tusk. All right, so just getting live. I was researching yesterday, and I got a hint from my inside ATF sources that other people got raided. That I heard some people around the industry say that, yes, we've heard these people got raided, including Brownells. I talked to Brownells. It wasn't a raid. They had an agent show up, a friendly agent show up, and ask about the customer records. Brownell says, we sell Polymer 80s, but we don't sell the buy, build, shoot kits. So go pound sand. Good on Brownells. So that kind of verified that the information I was onto was correct. Looking at the internal ATF documents that I have, it appears that the ATF is leaving it up to field offices on how they want to approach these businesses. I also have to give a big shout out to the Firearms blog because they uncovered one part of the story. So we'll get to that. All right. So what's going on is the leaving up to field offices on how to approach the businesses. This is coming from the top level brass at the ATF at the behest of the LA field office. The justification the ATF is using on this is that they've been turning up on a lot of crimes. For example, one of the examples that they use is in New York recently. They found a Polymer 80 in the hands of a criminal who converted it into a machine gun. You know, the little Glock auto selector switches. What I just wrote another story about yesterday, which is kind of funny. That they're going to be targeting those. But even that, the ATF is stating that the guns, if you ship a frame with the necessary parts to complete the frame into a firearm, that it is a firearm. They're stating that it is a firearm because it can be made readily available to expel a projectile, which is kind of crazy because if you consider a couple hours of doing that readily available, it's just insane, right? So that is what's happening there. They've been to all the major companies probably by now. I know some of the names that I've seen is like they're going big, and they're demanding customer records to find you guys out. What they're doing is they're running the customer records against NCIC, and here's the scary part. According to the Firearms blog, they are showing up to people's houses now and demanding that they turn it over. Not people who committed crimes, but the people themselves. They're demanding that they turn it over. It's crazy. And here's the even crazier part. The ATF is going to go into FFLs that are selling these kits, demand that they don't transfer or dispose of them, and tell a law enforcement agent, because there's two different things. There's IOIs, which are like the inspectors, and then there's law enforcement. They're going to send a law enforcement agent to confiscate those kits from the FFL, and then they're going to decide whether to push for criminal charges against that FFL, which is crazy for something that was totally legal to sell forever. When I reported like a month ago, that the ATF met with the Biden administration and their two top priorities was to go after pistol braces and to go after 80% lowers. A lot of people called me an alarmist and said that, I didn't know what I was talking about and the ATF wasn't going to do that. A month later, it's actually coming to fruition. I know some other stuff behind the scenes that I'm not going to get into until I can confirm it, but it's going to get a lot worse from here. There's a case in California against Ghost Gunner Inc. and 12 other defendants filed by Brady United on behalf of a couple people that they hoodwinked into signing on because their loved ones were killed by a guy using a 80%. So Brady United has been going after this very, very intently. California also has a lawsuit against the ATF trying to change the definition of a firearm to make 80% lowers fall under that. What I think is going to happen when the Biden administration comes in, which looks more and more inevitable, especially after the Supreme Court refused to hear the Texas case. What's going to happen is I think the DOJ is going to choose not to defend the case and just drop it, and then 80% lowers will be illegal. Kind of sucks, but I mean, that's what I see happening. And the thing is, it's no fault of Polymer 80 or any other company. They actually have letters from the ATF stating that their product is totally legal. Now the ATF is coming back and saying that it's not. How much is enough? When are we going to say we're just not going to obey your unconstitutional, draconian, tyrannical laws anymore? And yeah, it's crazy. People said, the ATF isn't going to go door to door and get these things. And as of Saturday morning, the ATF is going door to door and confiscating these guns. What they did is they took customer records and they basically made a list. They made a gun registry, which should be illegal. I see a lot of comments about F the ATF. The ATF is inherently unconstitutional and everything, and I 100% agree with you. My question to you guys, because you guys are a lot smarter than I am, is how are we going to, because we're not going to get rid of the ATF. I wish we could get rid of the ATF, but it's just not going to happen under a Biden administration. How do we rein in a rogue agency like the ATF, which is now not going to be a rogue agency? They're going to be working at the behest of the president because Biden and the ATF has the same goals. How do we bring them under control? You're not going to be able to get anything through Congress. Yeah, under current law, isn't a registry specifically prohibited? It is. You are exactly right. But yet, here we are. There's a lot of things the government does that is prohibited, but they do anyway. But my question, anyone out there know how do we bring them under control if we don't control the White House and we don't control the House? And there's a good chance we're not going to control the Senate. How do we bring them under control? Is it federal lawsuits? Because if we don't control the Senate, then they're just going to stack the court, so it's not going to matter. Still want to see the ATF assemble those kits without machining and firing them. I would love to see that, and the answer is they can't. But they're moving the goalpost. Exactly what they're doing. They're moving the goalpost. And after they take out 80% frames, then they're going to go after 80% lower receivers. I can guarantee that's coming. And then they're going to go after parts kits. They're going to keep on moving the goalpost until they get what they want. In the documents that I did get, one of the things it did say is the American people have the right to assemble their own firearms. And then there's 3 pages on how to get around that fact by changing definitions, removing goalposts. And the ATF is known for changing definitions. If you look at the bump stock thing, yes, they're going door to door collecting 80% frames from people who bought Polymer 80, the buy build shoot kits. So if you bought a buy build shoot kit, which has everything you need to complete the frame, they're going to be showing up at your house probably to collect them. I don't know. Yeah. Can't beat a system in the courts when they roll and make all the rules, and they can't abide by their own rules. That is correct. Even here's the scary part. Even Republican majority courts have a tendency not to push back against laws that are liberal in nature. When I say liberal in nature, I'm talking about introduced by Democrats or the left. I don't know why that is. They just don't like to overturn it. Where you have the leftist judges out there who have no issue on overturning something that's totally purely constitutional, but they turn it over on ideological reasons. I don't know. I don't know. But yes, they are going door to door. Let me throw this up over here. I'll throw up the firearms blog because they did a good job at reporting this here. So I want to give them the credit that they deserve because I've been plagiarized by Fox News and everyone else. So I'm going to give them the credit that they deserve. This firearms blog here, and they talk about that. They don't mention my story at all, I don't think. Let me see, maybe. No. So they don't mention my story where they're going after businesses. But yes. I hope we can hope that the speed of government will slow down as they fight which bills to pass. I hope you're right, but it looks like guns is one of the things that they're on their agenda, and it looks like they're going after these Polymer 80s, and other 80. And it's not Polymer 80, guys. It's other companies that make similar products where they have a kit that's combined with everything. I talked to a few companies that sell this that have not been visited yet, and they were busy yesterday breaking their kits apart and pulling it off their websites. So, yeah, and the scary thing is they're using the tax thing. If you don't know, there's an excise tax on guns. So there's like 11% excise tax on guns. So they're saying, hey, you're evading taxes because you didn't pay taxes on these firearms that you're selling, even though they were never firearms before. Yeah. When I read the art in yours, it seems almost word for word. Yeah, the Washington Post did plagiarize me as well. It's just something that happens. I've been plagiarized by Washington Post, New York Times, New York Post, Chicago Times. I can see the IPs that read my stuff. Chicago Times, MSNBC, CNBC, CNN, and probably others as well, and YouTubers, a lot of YouTubers. But yeah, it's a scary thing. I don't know what the answer is or how we actually stop this. I know for a fact I have a Polymer 80 coming with the kid and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and finish it off. If they come, they come. Yeah. Yeah. They keep changing the rules. At what point does a hunk of metal or plastic become a firearm? This is what they're saying. It's all about intent, right? So if you buy a block of aluminum and you think to yourself, "Hey, I'm going to make a gun out of this," then it's a firearm. This is what they're going to go. They haven't did this, but this is what they're going to do. They're going to say it's all about intent, kind of like the solvent traps. If you don't know, it's been legal for years to buy a solvent trap and to convert it into a suppressor. But now, if you buy all the parts and your goal is to convert it into a suppressor and Form 1 it, totally illegal. But if you buy the parts and it's your goal to do that, they are going to arrest you for buying suppressor parts because you bought a flashlight tube because you have the intent in turning it into a suppressor. So now what you should do if you're going to do the solvent trap thing is get your Form 1 first and then order the parts. Because right now, the ATF is on a power trip. They are emboldened. Uh, they think Biden's going to give them everything that they want, and they probably do. And here's another thing. They are auditioning for appointments. So how do you get an appointment in the most anti-gun regime ever in control of the United States? You become the most anti-gun person that you can be. And that's exactly what they are doing. Yeah, yeah. That is talking. Geller and Guns bring up a good point. Giffords is saying most companies targeted by the sale of these kits are specifically targeting like criminals and murderers. And not only are they, yeah, that was Brady United. Not only are they saying that, they have their politicians that they have on payroll saying that. Like Eric, my girlfriend is a Chinese spy, Sawwell, for example, has said that. I'm gonna let you guys know how the sausage is made a little bit. And this is on both sides, so I'm not gonna say it's just liberals. But right now, politicians, they don't really make their own policies and they don't have their own ideas. They are up to the highest bidder. And what happens is these lobbying firms or these special interest groups start donating money through super PACs to these politicians. And the more money that they donate, the more influence that they have. I have seen in state legislatures and also in federal legislatures, well, where I could track down the bill to either every town or most of the time, Brady United or even Giffords. I can track the bills down exactly the language of the bills, word for word, exactly to one of those groups. So those groups actually wrote the bills and they give them to whoever they have on their payroll, and then they submit them. So that's how laws are made. It's not like the whole thing where how a bill becomes a law. That whole thing where they have the dancing constitution and stuff like that. It's not like that anymore. What they need to do is add a lobbyist to be handing that bill over because that's exactly how it happens on state and federal level. I have the documentation to prove it. I think John Petrolino is out there. He has the documentation to show it as well. Yeah. ATF is too focused on entrapping law-abiding citizens to do anything productive. I might have something on ATF and entrapment, but I'm still working on that. That's about a month out, but if that breaks, it's going to bring down a lot of people and get a lot of people out of jail. Yeah. John Petrolino, yeah, he's out there. He's in the Facebook room. You've seen documentation where they said, no, we don't like the way this law's written. Write it this way. In New Jersey, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, New Jersey. 'Cause I've seen the same documentation he has, and yeah, in New Jersey he did that with Governor Phil Murphy, and they're like, we need this law change to say this, and we've seen it in Virginia with Governor Northam. So it happens in every state. So we just have to be vigilant, guys, and fight back against this. This is why I set up a new a new email address. I'm gonna put it up on the screen for right now, and it's totally anonymous. It's actually on a server in Switzerland, so you don't have to worry about anything. If you don't know, Black Swan Media Group is my small little company, and you have any tips, inside information, leaked documents, go ahead and send them to bstips at protonmail.com. I do have some FOIA requests and about 80% lowers, and I informed my lawyer to proceed in threatening to sue to get the documents through the FOIA chain, and we'll see what happens with that, because those are due and it should shed some more light on everything. Actually, no, it's something else that happened. I got so many FOIA requests going right now, it's crazy. Yes, we are seeing more and more states as time passes. It's going to get worse if the Democratic regime reigns in the power. And this is one of the reasons why it's so important to go and help out in Georgia. Whether you door knock, whether you make phone calls, you can go to gunowners.org/volunteer and just go to Georgia. I hate making Saturday morning videos. I just want to be watching stuff with kids, but I feel the need that I have to really get this information out there, because if you have these, then you might be a little bit screwed. You might have to turn it in. Let me see here. Yeah, here it is. And here's my internal leak video. I just want to go over it. It should be buy, build. Okay, but whatever. Look, get this. The ATF they said the federal courts have repeatedly held the GCA's firearms definition applies to a collection of unassembled parts, including firearms parts kits. That's crazy. That is crazy. And here's the thing. They do it on a case by case basis. Yeah, it's crazy. I wish I had somebody else on this with me, because I'm just gonna go commiserate. I do want to give a shout out to Brownells. They turned over no documentation whatsoever, and they wouldn't turn over documentations. Thank you, Gorillas and Guns. This is why I didn't get back to you yesterday about recording the next podcast. We have time though, because we haven't launched yet, so we have time to do that. But yeah, Gun Owners of America is going to come out with a statement any time now. It was pushed back. It was going to come out last night, but it was pushed back because okay. I got some orders. Awesome. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Yeah. But yeah, that's basically it. Any questions out there before I get going? Yeah, it is getting bad, John. You're exactly right. I'm going to go hide if there's no more questions, and I'm going to take the weekend off. Besides putting up a post about why you guys should vote for me at the Gundies, go to thegundys.org. com, and you can vote for me. I also want to thank Reno May out there. I saw that he actually he's actually tagging in his comments now that people should go vote for me. I thought that was incredibly awesome of him. I sent him a message. I sent him a text. I'm like, "Hey man, that's too cool." But yeah, he's like, "Go vote for this guy." He's doing investigative journalism, and that's the whole entire goal. Uh, there's not a lot of investigative journalists out there, but there is a growing number now in the firearms industry. Uh, John, this guy right here, he writes at Amarillo. You got to go read his stuff. He's also a author. John Petrolino. He is one of the investigative journalists out there that we're developing. John is doing a great job at his investigative journalism. There's Donovan Mullen out there as well. These are just Amaland people. But what people don't understand, I just want to hit on this before I go. What people don't understand, investigative journalism takes a lot more time than just writing the news. So if you see an investigative journalist out there like John Petrolino or Donovan Mullen, give them the love that they deserve. Because for investigative journalists, every time they write an article, what you don't see is the hours of research that are going into those articles. I know John right now is scrubbing a bunch of documents, looking for things in those documents, because when you start going down the role of investigative journalism, a lot of times you can go down the role and spend like weeks on something just to have it not turn out to be nothing. Or you can find a big article, but you don't know until you start investigating it. And that's why I want to give a shout out to John Petrolino, Donovan Mullen, and all the other investigative journalists that are coming up in the firearms space. We are a growing section of the firearms journalists. And this over at Truth About Guns is another piece of investigative journalism by, I guess, the editor over there. I don't know who that is. So give them love too. Pete over there. So give them love too. Because we need to give investigative journalism people in the gun industry love, because it's sometimes you report on stuff that people don't want to hear because that's where the investigation leads. But that's what we do. Yeah. Yeah. Don't forget to use code Crumpy at Black Swan Tactical. Hold on, let me get something really quick.